recorded in front of a live studio audience.
This is a Matos Designs production.
And I am not done. Mark my
I
word.
like your line, I like your prices. There's a problem. There's no guarantee on the box.
You can't hang out with chickens and expect to soar with eagles.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? An electrician got your light work.
And now your hosts,
JR and Brian.
Oh, we can handle it. We're professionals.
What's going on, man?
What up? Anticipated episode that we might have got stood up on. I don't know yet. We're still trying to send text messages and make phone calls and see where Lee is. We had confirmation last week when we announced that he was going to be on the show, that he was available to be on the show, and we have been radio silent from him for the last 2 days. So hopefully he realizes it and then pops in here real quick. If not, we do have a backup. He is shortly on his way. He's wrapping up some stuff so he could join us and we could ask him some questions.
Who's that?
I'll let you know when they're in here.
I don't even know. I love going live.
Fillers out to a few people being like, hey, this might be happening. What are you doing? And some people had meetings because, they have work to do. And some people were sequencing and maybe could take a break in a couple minutes for us. So, yeah, this went well. I was a little bit worried about this. Like, even when we got the confirmation, I was a little scared because I know there are certain aspects of the buyout and separation that are not fully finalized yet, at least like payment or something. So maybe he got a little worried that he might say something that he shouldn't or something like that and screw it up or something. So I was had a little hint that this might happen, but I really didn't think so because he seemed like excited to be on here and stuff. So he might also just forgot it was on Tuesday during the day. Maybe he thought it was later in the day and I'm going to get a message. So there's definitely that too. Yeah, Brian. So how was slacking off last week?
Sure, no time to slack off. We got too many customers for that.
Oh, you said you were going to.
I tried to. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. My weather's been all wacky as all get out. We went from negative 24 degrees Thursday morning to 32 degrees by Friday afternoon. And it was like a heat wave.
Like a heat wave or like really a heat wave?
A Montana heat wave. It was t-shirt weather out there. It felt like it because we'd been cold for so long. The heat wave started actually over the weekend because we were in the 60s all weekend. And then yesterday and today it's snowing.
Really?
Spring in Montana.
Fun. Hey, you're actually facing the right way now and stuff.
You finally get that taken care of?
I did get that taken care of.
About time.
So, yeah.
I was going to message you last night and ask you if you got it done. And then I got a phone call and I was on the phone all night. So
you getting a phone call and getting stuck on the phone all night?
Oh, it was with Craig.
Okay. Yeah,
we had important Monopoly Go stuff to take care of. And
oh, Jesus. All right. So it's he's not normally a plan B guest. Normally he's a plan A guest. He's very important. He is the most famous TikToker I know, Mr. Kyle Bostick. Let's
right on.
Add him to the mix right here. What's up, Kyle? How you doing,
guys? Good. How are you guys?
What's going on, man?
Hey, Brian, JR, how are you guys?
thank you for the last minute arrival to the show.
Yeah, no worries.
We've had you on here before, but it's been a while, so
Yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
people don't know everything that we previously asked. So we already sent you the questions, and we're going to go over those and do like our normal shows we used to have. But first
Cool.
off, how you been?
Been good. This past season was quite chaotic, but it was good. So for those of you that don't know, we started a drive-through, and we started planning and designing in August and had the show running in November. So in just over 2 months, we went from having no product to a full-blown drive-through
Wow.
set up and working. So it was jam-packed. And then on top of that, we did a Halloween show. So I set up a Halloween show, ran that at my house while building a Christmas show at a different location. So it was pretty nuts.
I'm surprised you don't have a lot of gray hair.
I'm surprised I still have any hair.
Doing that during COVID is how I got gray hair. Like that brought all the gray hair in, is building a drive-through in a short amount of time. It's very stressful.
It was very stressful.
Very stressful.
I'm still yet to get, too much gray hair yet. So I got a couple strands.
You're still a young chicken.
Yep, there you go.
Not
Don't
gray
look at the beard. Huh?
You're practically a Santa beard, bro.
All my gray is in my beard, my eyebrows, and other places other than my noggin. So
All right, so we're gonna go into the normal questions here, which I don't think people don't know this about you, because everybody should know you. You're TikTok famous and do some amazing sequences and stuff like that. But tell us a little about yourself, Kyle.
Sure. So I'm Kyle. I own BF Light Shows and RGB Sequences. So I am a full-time sequencer with those two companies. And then, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we also started a drive-through in Michigan. So we're the only pixel-based drive-through Christmas show in Detroit or Michigan. So if you're in the area, definitely check us out at My Bright Lights. Other than that, I've been doing lights for about 5 years now. I've been doing it professionally as my full-time job for about 2.5. I'm married to a wonderful wife, Christina. We have 3 kids. Audrey and Avery are twins. They are going to turn 4 over this summer. And then we have our other baby, Bryn, who will be 2 in June. We live in, Metro Detroit. What else? Let's see. Like I said, been doing this for a living for the last few years, and have had a Christmas display at our home for the last 4 years. This past Christmas was the first one we didn't do at home, and we did at a commercial show. And
You had nothing at home?
Didn't do anything at home for Christmas.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. Not even outlines. Literally nothing.
oh wow.
All the outlines were still up, but I didn't turn any of them on.
You just didn't turn them on.
Yeah. Which kind of worked out, because about halfway through our show season, one of our controllers died, and I needed it in a hurry. So I actually had to run home, grab the controller from my house, draw my outlines, and run it up there. So, overnighted a new one, but in the meantime, luckily
Adapt and overcome.
Yep.
You saved it from so good thing you didn't run the house show.
Yep.
Because then people have been like, oh, he has barely anything, but then now he has nothing.
Yep.
So what inspired you to get into this hobby?
So I've shared this story quite a few times, but my wife saw a super famous YouTuber, I'm sure you all know Tom, and she saw his Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween sequence from many years ago, and that's her favorite movie. So she watched it and basically told me I had to figure it out. I watched it and was like, there's no way that guy's, a magician, and I'll never figure that out. But COVID happened, had some extra time on our hands, and saw a bunch of Dr. Z's videos. The community in Exolites was super helpful, and, baby steps kind of got into it, got outlines set up, and really grasped it from there and kind of took off.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad it all worked out. That
did, yeah.
Like COVID, I think, was great for our hobby.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it put a whole bunch more people into it. It like, I don't, it was just, I think it was like a good thing for the
Yeah.
it's hard to say it was like a good thing, but it was good for the hobby. Like it was,
Yeah.
it gave time for people to play with a hobby.
Yep.
And a lot of them picked Christmas lights, and it was cool.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we got, like, I feel like without COVID, we would have never got Kyle.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be doing this without that.
Yeah. And Kyle does some really cool stuff. I think, for the last 3, maybe 4 years, I've had a bunch of Kyle sequences on my house for Halloween and Christmas. He is one of the best sequencers out there. I love his stuff. So he's definitely
Thank
cool
you.
with that.
Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, we, I have a team of sequencers now, so there's 4 or 5 of us that work together, and all of us have different strengths. So one of us is really good at timing tracks, one of us is really good at HD props, one of us is really good with moving heads, and we all kind of learn from each other and benefit. So one of our strengths may be another one of our weaknesses, and then we can kind of learn how that person did it, and then we grow and get better, so we're all more well-rounded and can all produce higher quality sequences.
That's awesome.
And then with having that mix of people, we all have different tastes in music, so we get a wider variety of songs we can sequence as opposed to your same run-of-the-mill song that everyone's doing, because we have a variety of music tastes. So I think that helps set us apart.
And it helps when you have somebody that asks you at the last minute for stuff, and you have more people.
I wonder who that would be.
Yeah. Squirrel ideas.
Hey, I know I have like 4 months, but here's like 3 days. Can you program my whole booth? Go. Oh,
yeah. With the weirdest songs you've ever heard in your life.
This song came out yesterday. I need a sequence for it tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, who did you sequence, or did you have to have somebody sequence the Chuck E. Cheese Sasquatch song?
I think I did that one. Most of your stuff I ended up doing because it was so short notice and they were busy. So
they didn't have to have torture through the Chuck E. Cheese Sasquatch song.
Yeah, and the Jack Black Hit Me One More Time.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, I think those were great songs.
Yeah, for sure.
But they also weren't necessarily the greatest songs to have and repeat in a booth for 4 days.
I can imagine. Listening to them, a couple hundred times while programming them, it was enough.
Yeah, I feel bad on that. Oh, look, Brian Michaels is here. Saying hi.
Hey, he's on early this time.
Hello.
Yeah. So, how does your family handle this hobby?
So prior to the drive-through experience, they were all, super eager. My older 2 daughters would come outside with me and, watch the show from our front yard and all of that. This past season, I was gone pretty much from before the sun came up till after the sun went down, trying to get everything built. And that was stressful. My wife had to handle 3 kids, 3 meals a day, all that kind of stuff. Basically be a single mom for 6 weeks, and that was tough. So if we do a year or 2 at the same location, we just want to get a better support system, so that way I'm not gone quite as much, and then I can help her handle kids and be home for bedtime and that kind of stuff. But kids absolutely love it. My wife's full of great ideas. She's always finding trendy ideas and stuff, and it's like, we should add this or we should do that. And, so it really kind of becomes a family project.
Is she pushing for a Halloween drive-through?
We want to do a Halloween drive-through. Yeah, that's definitely up her alley. The location we're doing our show at is a haunted house, so we can't use the parking lot to do a drive-through for Halloween because they use it as a parking lot, and we would interfere with, having their parking lot for cars to go to the haunted house.
Oh, so you can't set up.
Yeah, we couldn't even start set up until the first week in November. So, we had it.
Oh, wow.
we were kind of behind the ball and when we could start setting up because of that. But we got it set up in just over 3 weeks, and then worked out a couple kinks first time. So we had a lot of lessons to learn. How do we build this frame? How do we do this? How do you run? I don't know. I think we ran 10 miles worth of Ethernet wiring. It's just, you've done shows on that kind of a scale. There's a lot to it. And when you haven't done it before and you're the only one, it's definitely a learning curve. But
yeah, the first one is a pain.
Yeah.
A lot of trips to Home Depot.
Oh my God. I lived at Home Depot. Lots of Home Depot trips and lots of overnighting stuff from Amazon.
I ended up being a professional making cat wire.
Nice. Yeah, I know how to do cat wire. I ended up wiring my whole house, but we were on such a short time crunch. It was too time consuming to try to make my own cat cable. So, order 50 foots, 100 footers. And, it's just order generic lengths, 10, 25, 50, 100, 150s, 200s, 300s.
Well, that was our plan too, but we ran out.
I ran out several times. I was like, order more. All right. Ran out. Order more.
Yeah.
But we got there. It was very well received. Everyone enjoyed it. People were saying that that's the best show that they've been to because there isn't another one like it around in Michigan. So, in Texas, California, Florida, there's several of them. You have high competition, but
yeah,
here there's a lot of other Christmas drive-throughs, but they're all your traditional AC lights that don't dance to music and everything like that. So this was something new and unique that people hadn't seen before. So it was really cool to be part of.
Sounded really cool. It looked really cool. I kept seeing videos and stuff, and I was like, "This is awesome." Kyle did a great job.
Thanks.
So, good job on that.
Appreciate it.
Well, tell us something that nobody in the hobby knows about you.
That's a good one. So prior to getting into lights, I always kind of had a fascination with lights. And my first experience was actually installing those like underbody neon glow lights from like Fast and the Furious.
Oh God, JR is getting all excited. Wait, he just
so that was, my first experience. They were 12 volt. They plug into a cigarette lighter, but I thought that was tacky and I didn't like it plugged into a cigarette lighter. So I cut the end off and ended up wiring it directly into the fuse box of my car. And, first experience, I obviously did something wrong. I popped the fuse and, my headlights for the car wouldn't work. I was like, well, so, I tapped into that. So when the daytime running lights came on, the neon lights came on, popped the breaker or fuse, and then I pulled off the fuse panels. There's 2 inside and none of the fuses were popped. So I ended up having to take my car to the dealership and, I was like, I broke something and ended up being a fuse under the hood I didn't know about. And it was like $100 to replace that fuse. So paid $100 to learn. Wow. I'm stupid. There's another fuse box in the car.
Yeah. So, usually the one under the hood is where you tap that stuff into at. Just.
Yep. Yeah. Well, live and learn. And then a few years after that, I ended up getting a job installing lights and car audio and all of that. And, became really good at that. I was the garage manager for a chain of installation shops around us.
Oh, nice.
But that kind of really fomented my love for electronics and lights, audio, music, all that kind of stuff. And then as I was getting older, crawling underneath dashboards and getting into those hard to reach places in cars was getting tougher and tougher. And I just kind of saw,
down.
Well, I know that, but like I had coworkers and stuff that were, 10, 20 years older than me. And I saw them, really struggling, missing kid events. And I was like, I need to do something else. And that's kind of when I left that and got into IT. And this is kind of the merger of IT and that. So
nice.
Nice.
So are you full-time sequencer?
Yep. So I'm a full-time sequencer. This is all I do is play with lights, build controllers or props, sequence. We sequence drive-throughs and other shows around the country. So, it's been really rewarding, being able to take off time when needed for, family emergencies or whatever, or, go on a vacation with a bunch of lighting people and, meet all up at Trans World or Florida Mega Mini or, whatever the event is. And it's been awesome. Made a lot of new friends.
Cool. So now it's time for our Evo Lights speed round. So
all right.
What happens in the speed round is I would say just do your house. It's going to be easier. What
Okay.
you Halloween last year's Christmas is your controllers, how many, what types, what software you use, what scheduler you use, pixels, how many lights you use, voltage, pigtail preference, and any other useful hardware stuff that you do on your home display. So fast as you can, go through all that.
Controllers at home is a mix of Falcon and Genius. Software is X-Lights and FPP. Pixel count's about 25,000. Voltage, mostly 5 volt. Pigtail preference, Ray Wu. And I think that's all of it.
Everybody that's watching just judged you when you said 5 volt.
Right.
Well, you told me to do my house show, so if we want to do this again, we'll go drive through. And these are lessons learned. So I learned from my house show.
We'll get to
controllers. All right.
I'm just saying. You said 5 volt. 5 volt. Everybody went, what?
What? Who uses 5 volt anymore?
Use 12 volt. Learn from my mistakes.
That's your house. You keep it 5 volt, or you mixing 12 volt in?
I started replacing everything with 12 volt.
Yeah.
So, early on, followed Dr. Z's videos, and he kind of explained if you use 5 volts, pixels are 5 volt anyways. They just have a resistor to drop it down. So don't buy 12 volt. You can save some money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. Yeah, they're a little cheaper. So I went that route. And then I realized you have to do power injection. By the time you buy the wire for power injection, you add the plugs and you do all of that. You spent more money than doing 12 volts and you didn't have to do all that extra work. So just don't do 5 volt.
Yep.
So live and learn.
That's something that I struggled with in the beginning too. My first Mega Tree was only 50 pixels tall because it was 5 volt. And that's as far as I could go. And I used all 16 outputs on my 16 strip 50 pixel Mega Tree because it was 5 volt.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've been there, done that. It also had pulsating pigtails. So, been around the block.
Yeah.
People probably don't even know what those are.
I still have somewhere.
Yeah.
I think some of my original spiders had those. When I go to plug them in, I'm like, these won't go to that connector.
Oops. But for a while, I mixed my 5 and 12s. And I just moved everything to X. That was 12 volt. And then that way I didn't have magical smoke show.
You got time for a quick fun story? So
yes,
I had an electrician friend helping me set up the whole show at the drive-through, and they had a plug on there that was 4-prong, and it was like a commercial grade plug. And he looks at it and checks the label or whatever. It's all smeared, so like you can't read the label. And he's like, well, this plug is an older style plug, but it's 120 volts, blah blah blah. So we ran an extension cord to like an entire row of controllers and props. Plug it in, turn the generator on. It was 240. I just watched every single one of them smoke all the way down the road. So we blew up 24 power supplies in about 4 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah,
damn.
that's correct.
Yeah, usually I'm always very cautious of the 4 plugs.
Yeah, well, so I was off doing something else. I was working on a different part of the show, and he was handling that. He comes up to me and he's like, so I don't know what happened, but all these lights just turned off, and saw smoke. I'm like, then we metered it, and we're like, oh yeah, could have just told me that. Could have just flipped the switch on all the power supplies and been good, but
Oh, that's right. You could have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You could have handled that.
could have.
Been an easy fix.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, we had, like I said, we blew up like 24 power supplies, but luckily I had a case of them sitting here, so we were able to swap them that day,
Well,
get
that's
them
cool.
replaced, and get everything working. But now I tease him all the time. He's like, "Yeah, I know what I'm doing." I'm like, "Sure you do. You gonna
Check
smoke
that
fest
power.
too?"
Check the power.
Yep. So had some fun with him.
So we're going to go into a new segment we have. It's Hot or Not.
Okay.
We're going to ask you about some of the trends and what your opinion on them was.
All right.
And then we're going to also have the audience say if you're right or wrong in the video comments.
Uh-oh.
We want to judge you. But first off, what do you think of the seed pebble pixels?
I like
what is
them.
your opinion about those?
I like them. So I used a handful of them for our drive-through. I replaced all the strip that I used to use in like arches and that kind of stuff. And I replaced those with seed pixels and it worked really well. They weren't quite as bright as I was hoping for. But outside of like HDP tubing and stuff, I think they work really well. I'm not sold on them inside props with the little 3D printed cover yet, but I've seen some matrices and some megatrees set up with them. They look really cool. I'd be curious to see how they hold up. If you have a 20-foot tall megatree with just the wire for seed pixels, how that holds up in the weather. But, in smaller capacities or, the 3, 4, 5-foot trees, they look awesome. So
big tree, I'd be worried about the wire size too. I feel you on that.
Oh yeah, a lot of stress up toward the top.
Yep.
I think Brian's trying to look for a hot or not question to ask you.
Well, no, I already had one. I wanted to get into your social media and your TikTok on your viewers and stuff, your TikTok name.
Sure.
Because that's probably super hot. So, tell us about that so people can go check you out.
So it's either under BF Light Shows or My Bright Lights, my MI. So I changed our name just to correlate with the drive-through we opened. But we have 1.1 million followers, I think, on TikTok.
Nice.
And we do quite a few videos on there throughout the year. We do lots of different shows. So we do a 4th of July show, Halloween, and Christmas. So you can see videos outside of just at Christmas time, because we do the other shows.
Nice.
So a quick follow-up with that, during the off seasons, do you do anything on there to kind of keep your audience active?
I used to, and I found that it seemed to hurt my channel more than help the channel. So now I just kind of let the channel go dark in the off months and then ramp it up next time we do a show. We were doing teaser behind the scenes videos and, that kind of stuff. And we could literally watch like our subscriber base start to drop. And then we stopped doing that. And then we would post them, gearing up for a show as like a teaser, and it would instantly just keep climbing. So
no kidding. Wow.
Yep. So we stopped doing that specifically because of that. People just when you create a show to the level that we create our house show at with moving heads and water or fireworks and animatronics, fire and all that kind of stuff, you're doing a much higher level than most traditional shows that are around. And then if you start trying to explain how this works, you lose the people that are just looking at it in awe. They don't care how it works. They care what it looks like. And that's why you can get, millions of those views. But if you're trying to figure out how to set up one of these shows, the X-Lights community has 25,000 people in it. It's a real small, tight-knit community. There's not millions of people trying to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
So.
That makes sense. I totally get that. We're getting messages. I hope the ding is not coming across to everybody else, but I hear it.
It is, and you're the only one getting the messages. I don't know where they're coming in at.
I got to turn off that ding somehow, but I'll figure that out. So that's hot or not. Oh, wait, I have one more. What do you think about TikTok possibly going away?
So in the 24 hours it was banned or whatever, I was real sad because, we have a million followers on there and that basically just goes away if TikTok gets banned. So we still have a platform.
YouTube shorts and stuff like that?
I did a handful of them and, we got 1 million views here or, a few 100,000 here. But it's not the same. The TikTok algorithm is definitely better for what we do. You can reach a wider audience and that kind of stuff. But we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We have, I don't know, 50 something thousand on Instagram, almost 50,000 on Facebook, and I think it's like 15,000 on YouTube. So
Yeah,
got some work to
Wow.
do.
no, TikTok is, I don't know how they do it, but like, you probably seen that Facebook video I did where I'm in front of the house and like I go like this and I'm like, we did that.
Yeah.
We got like 30,000 views on TikTok for that.
Yep.
And I got like 2,000 on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's
the
crazy.
audience is crazy on TikTok. You get such a wide reach, and it can be life changing. That's crazy.
Yeah, it better not go anywhere because I think it's really cool and I think it's gonna be good. And Brian is sitting there.
Who will it not affect at all? Oh,
he never
me.
downloaded the
Never did.
TikTok app, so now he can't currently download the TikTok app.
You know what? If my wife finds something interesting, she's got to walk over to me. But if I find something on Reels that I like, I could just forward, and I don't have to get up. I can just sit right there. She's like, "Oh, you got to come in. You got to check this out." And I'm like, "You bring it to me because I don't want to watch it." But until she shares it with me, and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was really funny." So, but it won't affect me at all. So
Nice.
Either way.
So now we're going to get into the deep dive questions.
All right.
The more about your show and stuff like that. And you could answer about your house or your drive-through, whatever you want. Just let us know which one you're talking about.
Okay. So I guess I'll do the house because it's more relevant to other people. Our most popular song is probably Fancy Like Christmas by Walker Hayes. We did that a couple years ago, and that one was just a smash hit. He shared it on his page, and it was on like Good Morning America and all kinds of news stations and stuff. It was everywhere. So that was pretty cool.
That's
I
awesome.
like that sequence. That was pretty cool.
That's
By the way, the original Fancy Like sequence that Stopper made for the regular song, that was Cecilia's idea to do that.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I think it went well. And then I like to think that us lighting people are the reason he made the Christmas song.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Because he's always on TikTok, and I think he might have saw a bunch of people run his regular song and was like, I need to make a Christmas one. And then hit by him sharing yours was like, oh,
yep,
goal achieved.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is the most popular prop you think you have at your house?
Probably the waving snowman. So I have your one of your motors, and then I have the EFL motorized snowman. So his arm actually waves. That's super popular. Everyone really loves that. I think it's the cutest, most adorable prop. And the fact that it's interactive and it waves. Huh?
You've had that for a few years, right?
I have. Yep.
So, honest question. I want to know if it's good or bad. How's the motor holding up on that?
Well, since you asked, it died this year. So it did die. I haven't replaced it yet. Went to go use it again at the drive-through, plugged it in. It worked for the first 2 weeks or so, and then the motor seized up and died.
Okay.
So,
because you're in super harsh conditions.
Yep.
So,
so that prop is too big for me to fit in where I store everything else. So it's literally sat outside in the weather for 3.5, 4 years.
Nice.
And this year it ended up finally dying.
That's good. I'm happy. I think that's a good life.
Yep.
For being outside and stuff. I'm happy with that.
So
sucks that it failed, but I think it did a good job.
Yeah. I have other ones here. So, it wouldn't be too hard to swap out the motor, but it was just, it happened in December, in the middle of December, and I had too much other stuff going on to fix it. So, he died and his arm just kind of sits there, and no one knows that his arm's supposed to be moving. But
and the reason I asked is because that prop's always been a little rough on the motors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we kind of changed the design of them. Because the original one, when we took that waving snowman to Vegas Expo, I started to have, for running it the whole weekend there, the cams we used to have started to wear out.
Yeah.
and the arm would get like a rock in it.
A flop in it. Yep.
With the new change, we like a lot of the changes we did that it was because of the snowman, because it's a lot of leverage on that out there.
When I first made it, it was like real jerky. Like the arm would, be going, it'd get to a point and it would snap down and then go back up. So what I ended up doing is on the back of it, I basically took a bungee cord and I had like some weighted springs and I basically counterbalanced it. So when it got to a certain point, the bungee cord was kind of pulling it down and then the motor was strong enough to lift it back up, but it eliminated all that jerk. I think that probably helped prolong its life.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Cool.
Yeah.
So have you ever had, and that you could throw the drive-throughs, I can imagine, with the people coming through there, but have you had any neighbor issues? And if so, how did you handle them?
So we haven't had any city issues, but we've had a few neighbor complaints because our show's gotten so popular. We have hundreds to thousands of cars come to our show every season, and it's just a lot to deal with as a neighbor. So we dealt with it by moving it to a commercial space. So that can handle larger traffic and all of that. We didn't have any neighbor type complaints because it was at a commercial spot that can accommodate as many people as we wanted. But at home, we were getting complaints. The city was still on our side. They were trying to beg us not to shut down the display and to move, but we just wanted to be more neighborly. We worked with them, for the past year we did the show, talking to them, what can we do? What'll make this better? So we reduced the hours. Instead of running it every day, like 3 hours a day, we did, 3 hours a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that kind of stuff, and just adjusted the hours and tried to make it a little more manageable. But when we did that, the people that were coming to our show seemed to be even less patient. They were parking in our neighbors' driveways and like getting out to watch the show. Like, you can't park in somebody else's driveway. You don't know. Like, that's not how this works. And then, I was outside managing traffic and directing people, and I would see stuff like that. I'd go up to the people and be like, do you know them? And they'd be like, no. I'm like, well, you can't park there. Like, park in the street. You may have to drive a little ways and walk. They're like, I'm not doing that. I'm just parking there. I'm like, no, like, I'll shut the show off. Like, you have to move. My neighbors are already a little frustrated with this. You parking in their driveway is going to be the nail in the coffin. You need to move.
Yeah, you can't. People are the hardest thing.
Yeah. No consideration. Yeah.
Yep.
It's the toughest, like, I don't even want to go into it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the evolution of your display, because I'm sure the first year you did it, you did not go water, fire, fireworks.
I did not. So it's definitely growing. The first year we had outlines. We had maybe 6, 8 snowflakes. So we started with Halloween. So I guess I'll start with that. So we had outlines, we had icicles, and we had like 8 spiders, somewhere thereabouts, 5 spiders. And then, 3 or 4 tombstones in the yard and a couple of singing props. And then that was probably 6,000 lights or so, I would guess, for our first year. And we had no intention of doing a Christmas show. Like I said, we got into this following the Nightmare Before Christmas video. That's why we got into it. And then people started showing up. They're like, this is awesome. This is amazing. Can't wait to see what you do for Christmas. I'm like, well, all right then.
I guess I got to have a Christmas show now.
Yeah. So, Halloween's fast approaching. We're in October with no props for Christmas. And I'm ordering stuff from Boscoyo and Gilbert and, all the people. And it's coming in, in October. My show's running. I'm inside my living room pushing in Christmas props, while everyone else is enjoying Halloween. By Christmas, we had about 10,000 pixels. And then year 2, we added a matrix and added, more props just to fill everything in. And then by year 3, we added fireworks and fire and snow machines and fog machines, moving heads, animatronics, and,
everything.
Really went nuts with it.
Wow. So if you started out fresh today, and you kind of did this with moving it to the drive-through, but if you started out fresh today this year, what would you do differently? I know we've already talked about the 5-volt, but
Yeah, I would definitely go with 12 volts. With that being said, you save a minuscule amount of money by buying 5-volt, but you add so much time and labor and added cost of you need to do power injection. So you have to buy extra wires. You have double the amount of wires for those props. So you have to worry about trying to keep all that wire neat and clean and not a trip hazard and all of that. It's the headache isn't worth it. Just go with 12 volts. I personally like Ray Wu connectors more than X Connect, but
woohoo! Yeah, there we
either
go.
connector,
There we go.
But go 12 volt.
I'm gonna have to send you some M connects. I'll change your mind on the best connector.
All right.
Definitely. Yeah, I do love the M Connect.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. I would, start small, scale, as you can. It's an expensive hobby. Make sure you budget for all the miscellaneous stuff, your zip ties and, prop holders or EMT and, all the stuff you need to mount props and to get it working, Ethernet wires, it adds up and gets expensive. And most people don't think about that. So, I only got to buy, these 10 snowflakes at $20 a piece. It's $200. Well, then you got to buy all the pixels. Then you got to buy the extensions. Then you got to buy the controller, power supply, extension cords, and all right, now it's $10,000, and I only have 20 props. So,
and everybody's got a budget of a few $100 for the Home Depot trips,
right?
Especially for in setup where you're like, oh, I need this.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm lucky I got a Home Depot around the corner, but at Christmas time, they definitely know who the hell I am.
Right.
Back again.
I walk in, they're like, ka-ching!
Not that bad. Not that bad. So, if you could travel anywhere in the world, what is the top 3 shows you would go see?
Well, I'd have to throw Tom's name in that list just because he's the inspiration behind coming to see it, and now he's elevated his show to a whole new level. So I'd love to see that in person at some point.
Yes, his house is definitely on a hill.
Yep. I'd love to see Brad Luner's display in Ohio. So maybe we can go check that out this year because he's got a crazy amount of lights. He probably puts me for a run for my money in my drive-through than what he has in his front yard.
Wow.
So, seeing that, I think last time I talked to him, he's 200,000 somewhere there about lights in his front yard.
Dang.
And then probably the Burton family. They added the water fountains. They're on the light fight. They're great people. So
yeah, they definitely are great people.
Those shows I would definitely love to see in person.
So best advice for somebody. Oh, what's that?
I said, that's a good list.
Yeah, it is.
When he comes to go to Tom's, hit me up. We'll go together.
All right. I have to convince my wife to go to Cali. She's not a fan.
Why?
I don't know.
I can give you a list.
I'm not gonna live here.
Oh.
I've told her that.
It's just visiting. She's really gonna like it.
It's a good place to visit.
Yeah.
So best advice for somebody coming into the hobby, what would you tell them?
I would say, befriend, some of the vendors and, the people that work in the Zoom room and that kind of stuff. That way you can kind of get to know people, ask questions if needed. And you're not necessarily, trying to get, a friend discount or anything, but, being able to have a connection with the people that you buy all this stuff from is really cool. So, when I got into this, I didn't know anybody, but now I can call JR and all these people a good friend. If I do have some type of question down the road, I can ping him and he'll do his best to get to me or get me the information when he can. And being able to have that connection as opposed to this doesn't work, I'm up a paddle, or up a creek without a paddle kind of thing. I have lifelines I can throw out if needed. So I would definitely do that. All the pretty much all the vendors are, good people and will do their best to help you out. But with that being said, don't take advantage of them. If you're asking them a ton of questions, do your own research, search for an answer before reaching out. And, the community is full of helpful people for the most part. So, post your question or do a search, try to answer your own question. And if you get stuck, then reach out and go from there.
Yeah. The only thing
Right.
with befriending a vendor though is you might get unsolicited help.
Yeah, that could be true.
I may have sent you a few messages with your drive-through, be like, "Hey, make sure you do this."
It was all appreciated.
Yeah. No, I wanted you to succeed as much as possible. So, I'm trying to give pointers when I can.
Absolutely.
That's the thing too is like at all the vendors, like you said, we just want people to have great shows. So we're going to help you as much as we possibly can. Sometimes we can't help much because we're drowning, but sometimes we can help more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it can definitely be one heck of a rabbit hole. And I mean, I feel that the vendors should try to keep, not a good rapport with the people that are asking the questions, because you want to keep the rabbit hole's tough enough. I mean, there's the large learning curve. To keep that rabbit hole as bright as possible for that that person that's learning the hobby to see their path and which way they're going, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And and then the next year you see them posting on Facebook that they're selling everything.
Yep.
They just couldn't do it, and it was too much, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Brian's reading the next question. Sorry.
Oh, I thought this was you.
Oh,
was you?
Usually I pause when you look up because you're going to
be. Well, I got to look through the bifocals. I got to change my.
Have you learned Brian's face? He's looking up. He's reading a question on his monitor.
Well, I got 4 screens here. I got crap on every single screen. So
this one I want to tailor a little bit to your drive-through.
Okay.
What makes your drive-through unique compared to other drive-throughs?
I would say our sequencing. Being a sequence vendor, we can go through with a fine-tooth comb and really tailor all the props to be full. If you buy a sequence from a vendor, even myself, that uses a home show and put it on a drive-through, you're going to have dark spots. So you're going to have props that aren't on all the time. And that's to create dynamics when you're staring at a house show. But if your whole house, goes black for that split second to create that pop of color that comes on at a bass drop or something, you have a huge problem in a drive-through. You can't have your whole show go super dark. So I went through and, reprogrammed with my team each song, added in different elements to make sure that it's not off. It might be dark, but it's not off. And I've seen a lot of other drive-throughs try to imitate that, and they add like a color wash or a rainbow or something and throw that on like a bottom layer. So the effects go over it, but it's basically a rainbow or a butterfly effect or something. It's on, but it's not really doing anything, or then those colors don't match because you have a sequence that's red and green and you have a color wash butterfly rainbow effect underneath. Then it looks stupid. So we went through and we would do a color wash, but a couple shades above black in red, and then we would do a highlight red of single strand going over it and that kind of stuff, and really made pops of color with the whole prop lit up and then it still dancing. And we added a bunch of different, I guess, scenes we could call them. So we had like a Candy Cane Lane, we had a Winter Wonderland, a Santa's Workshop, and that kind of thing. So you went through different parts of Christmas as opposed to a random collection of props throughout the whole thing.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have a question I'm going to pop up here. Somebody wanted to have you repeat what your top 3 shows to go visit was.
So I'd like to see Tom's in California, Brad and Candace Lunar in Ohio, and then Rodney and Aura and Florida, the Burton family.
Burton family.
So there you go, Brian.
I was gonna text it, but I couldn't remember the names 100%. So, so what's the most awkward or the funniest interaction you had with either somebody going through the drive-through or coming out to the house?
I'd say the most awkward was when people were parking in our neighbors' driveways, and then like I went up to talk to them, and they like refused to move. Like they just thought they were entitled enough to park there, and that was fine. I'm like, no. So, it was frustrating, but now in retrospect, people get a good laugh out of that, and
do you have
it was
anything
real
that
awkward, but
do you have an interaction that you walked away just laughing your butt off with tears or anything?
haven't really had any funny reactions like that. I guess it was kind of a dumb interaction, but somebody came to our drive-through with a trailer of cars. So like, they had like the truck and then a whole trailer full of like new cars, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna drive through. We saw it. I'm like, that's not gonna fit. Like, no.
I was gonna say, did they have people in the cars? So
Nope.
You're only paying one price for all these cars?
Nope. So it's just your standard trailer to drive through. I'm like, no, like that's not happening. So
You can unhook and drive,
right.
through, but that ain't gonna fit.
That's what he ended up doing. So he pulled over, and the place we were at was big enough that he could park the trailer there. So we unhitched it and then drove through with just the cab, and then came back, grabbed the cars, and then left.
No
right.
kidding. Oh, that's awesome.
That's interesting. So I'm going to tie two questions into one here because I skipped some questions, not paying attention.
Okay.
What do you think is going to be the most popular prop, like the must-have one this year? And what is like your dream prop of having in your display?
That's a good question. Must-have prop. I don't know. I would imagine something from EFL. Jackie's been pumping out a lot of crazy props that people go absolutely nuts over.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen a new prop come out this year already that I think is going to be, the go-to prop, but I would imagine something that, his collaboration with Showstoppers and, the Staffordgens do, I would imagine will be the must-have prop of the season. And I don't have a dream prop. All the props I really wanted, we ended up buying. So I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to own them. I would say my favorite prop is probably the spooky tree from Gilbert Engineering. That is absolutely my favorite prop. That they absolutely nailed that design, and I cherish that one.
Oh, we got comments. The Burton's cross.
That's a good one.
I just saw that one,
it's super dense. It's like 1,500 pixels, and it's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah, that does look pretty cool.
We ended up getting the 14-foot candy canes that they have, the NSR versions. So it's 14 foot tall, and that has 2,000 lights in it. So having 1,500 in a prop that's 4 feet tall, it's got to be mind blowing.
Yeah, they look cool.
They do look
really
cool.
I like it. Yeah, those candy canes are cool. The big ones that you put in your show.
Yep.
Yeah. You're welcome. They're not designed by me, but they were influenced by something I created.
Nice. Well, so you need to come up with like a way to mount them, like a whole structure system, because that sucks.
I already know. I already have done that. It's not public knowledge because that's something that Matos Designs does for you.
There you go.
So we could talk later though.
All right.
About how to put those up. So.
Well, I figured it out now.
Yeah, but
after the fact.
I know how to do it easier, probably. All right. So this is a set of questions we don't normally ask people because not everybody's a vendor.
Okay.
So we're going to go into some vendor specific questions for you. Tell us a little bit about your company, like how many employees you have. Are they part-time, full-time?
Okay.
how did it start that you made a company?
Sure.
And what is your most popular sequence?
All right. So I own BF Light Shows and RGB Sequences. I started BF Light Shows. It used to be Bostick Family Light Show, and we just condensed it to BF Light Shows. We started it with a handful of sequences because we were getting requests for sequences we had on our house, and it kind of grew from there. So we had a handful of sequences that we were getting requests for, started a store, and then we listened to our customer feedbacks of you should add HD props, or you should do this or do that, and kind of tailored to that market of what people were looking to buy, and made some adjustments, and it really took off after that. That led me to having to expand and hire some additional people because I couldn't keep up with all the requests I was getting to do custom work. So I ended up hiring 2 guys, John Bauer and Dalen Valenti, and then they were working with us, and then that was going pretty well. It was just a part-time gig. None of us did it full-time. It was just, we all did it part-time. I ended up getting the opportunity to buy RGB Sequences when I was looking to hire an additional sequencer. We'll get into that in a different dialogue, but ended up buying RGB Sequences, took that over. That had an additional sequencer with it. Ben kind of joined the BF Light Show team as well. It ended up turning into a full-time gig for me. And as that kind of continued to grow, we ended up hiring another sequencer, Tim. And so now all 4 of us or 5 of us kind of work together to create sequences. Some of us spend more time on it than others. I do it full time. The 3 of them or 4 of them do it part time, and just as time permits. So when they're wanting to do a sequence, they'll crank it out. We get a lot of custom requests that never end up hitting our store, for drive-throughs and things like that. But we stay pretty busy throughout the year.
Wow. Where do you see BF Light Shows and RGB Sequences going in the next 5 years?
It'll be interesting with the advancement of AI and tools like Xlight's trying to implement auto sequencing and things like that. So we'll see if there's still a need for sequence stores, but we definitely enjoy doing this hobby while we can, and I think there's always going to be at least some knack for a professional programmer. AI can probably get you close, but if you want that detail-oriented programming, you're going to need somebody to sit down and do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's always going to be a need for professional sequencers.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it will make the vast amount of sequence stores very limited to a very few professionals that do it, because I think some of the sequencers that aren't as detailed will disappear with an AI.
Yeah,
like auto sequencing.
I agree. Not calling anyone out, but the ones that have more of the whole house effects and can do a sequence in a few hours, use the auto lyric tool, throw a handful of whole house effects on a show and call it a day and sell it for $10, $20. Those will get eliminated with AI. The more detailed ones with your top stores, those ones, I think they'll stick around just because of the detail involved in them. But we'll see.
The more professional finish look that some people like. Yeah. If you could change one thing in your company from the beginning, what would you think it would be?
I don't know. That's tough because originally I had one kind of concept in mind for the company. We do our house show, it's my house, that's what we program, I don't have to make any tweaks. And we had a lot of comments and feedback of, hey, you should add these props. I may not like the prop, but lots of other people do. So we took that feedback and adjusted our business model based on the feedback rather than, pride or stubbornness of, I don't like it, I'm not doing it. So, I still am not a huge fan of most HD props. I didn't run any of them in our drive-through. I only have one that I own. I'm just not a big fan of them, but we tailored to that market because that's what people were asking for. So
Yeah, no, I get that.
And I think that was a good decision. We had definitely saw an uptick in customers after doing that.
Yeah, with mine, I would have picked a different name, a generic, a unique name, not just my last name.
Well, now you have a whole brand recognition behind it.
Yeah, I know,
yours
but
worked better.
I can't sell it to anybody really well. So
I guess that makes sense.
yeah. But
So is there anything that you would like to promote? What you have on your website, your favorite sequences, anything like that?
Yeah, so you can take a look at our sequences. We have a handful of free ones on the website, but we have a lot of variety. So between BF Light Shows and RGB sequences, we have, I think, 200 something sequences to choose from. We have sequences for 4th of July or, patriotic sequences for Veterans Day, whatever you want, as well as Valentine's Day. We have a ton of Halloween, ton of Christmas. A lot of variety there. So check them out. If you're happy with them, go ahead and try them out and get them and give us feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll try to make adjustments as time goes on. But our sequences also don't have a bunch of extra add-ons that you have to buy. Everything's included. If you buy the HD one, your lyric tracks, megatrees, matrices, moving heads, all that's included. You don't have to buy any extras, where some of the other stores, certain things are add-ons. It might be moving heads or megatrees or matrices or HD props. Everything's included in the preview. So if you get a preview that you like and you're like, hey, I want to get this, you don't have to worry about a bunch of add-ons and extras. If you don't have all the add-ons and extras, and you just have no HD props, no moving heads, you just have something simple, we have a standardized layout with outlines, a handful of snowflakes, some mini trees, and a more simple layout to get people started. And if you want to upgrade down the road, hey, year one, I started with a light or simple layout, and now we have a more advanced, you can pay the difference to upgrade later. So you don't have to buy the sequence twice. You just pay the difference and you can get the upgrade later.
so I do have one request.
Okay.
For BF Light Show's RGB sequences.
All right.
Can you also add the models names that BF Light Shows has to the RGB sequences? At least the new ones that you come out with.
So they have the same names?
Yeah. So like if you're all set up for auto mapping BF Light Show stuff and you're like, oh, I want to get an RGB sequence.
Yep.
And you got to figure it all out. But if you could just map it over, it would just make things easier.
Good feedback. Yep. We can definitely do that.
Cool. I like that. Makes
good
it
idea.
Easy.
So I got kind of a question for your sequencing side of it. Do you prefer like the HD? I know you're not a huge fan of the HD props, but when you have to do them, i.e. for a custom order or whatever, if something you're putting on the website, do you prefer tons of submodels in there or just like basic, give me the highlight submodels and that's all I want and that's what I'm going to work with?
I typically work with a handful of submodels. I try to make it not look the same. So, if you buy this sequence and that sequence and run it back to back, it's not the same submodels every time, but I definitely don't use all of them. But I do try to put multiple layers into each little section or sequence. So, maybe you have a 2-second little blurb of, this type of riff. It's going to do the same thing for that 2 seconds. And then the next 2 seconds, it's doing something different on different submodels. So that way, even through the same song, I'm not using the same one over and over and over and over again.
No, that makes sense.
Then I would say usually most of the time I have at least 4 layers of submodels at any one time on HD props. Sometimes
sorry,
sometimes it could be significantly higher than that, but usually a minimum of 4.
Very cool. So we have a question from the thing. Why don't you combine RGB and BF?
So I was going to do that when I originally bought it, and then we did posts saying, Kyle's taken over RGB and blah blah blah, and we had a handful of people kind of show that they didn't want the two companies merged, so we ended up keeping them separate. It is something that would make my life a lot easier if it was just one. I understand sequencing them differently, and you could have an RGB style and a BF Light Show style, but 2 different layouts, 2 different stores. I have to file 2 different tax returns because they're technically 2 different businesses. All that just definitely a lot more of a headache than I would like it to be.
So do you think it was the styles and the mapping for the existing RGB customers and the styles and the mapping of yours? Like if you offered the 2 different styles in your BF Light Show website,
I think
for both on everything, would that solve your customers' problems?
I think a majority of it was people were familiar with RGB sequences, or they were happy with it. They liked that style, that brand, their experience with them, and hadn't tried BF Light Shows. I think that was a lot of it. Also, BF Light Shows was still kind of learning how to do HD props and, tailor to that market where RGB had it for a little while and kind of built a reputation behind it.
Yeah.
So, also, BF Light Shows, I personally like more upbeat, like modern spins on music, remixes, and that kind of stuff, where RGB had more classic music choices. Your Feliz Navidad, Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, all that kind of stuff, where BF Light Shows, will have a remix version of that. And, is RGB only going to do the remixes now? Does all that kind of stuff go away? I think that just sparked a little bit of fear of, it's changing. How's it going to change? I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. So I think we've done a pretty good job at keeping it mostly original and true to itself, and keeping them separate, but learning how that's done, bringing some of that into BF Light Shows, or how we do things with BF Light Shows over there. Like we've been doing moving heads with BF Light Shows for a while, and RGB didn't have it. I brought that over there based on popularity growth in the hobby. A lot of people added it, so now RGB can offer something that BF Light Shows started offering way before RGB did. And
very cool. So I think it's time for Brian's favorite part of the show.
Heck yeah.
I think it's ready for the RGB decor rapid fire questions. Are you ready for this, Kyle?
Go.
You ready, Brian?
Do it. You gonna start it with your favorite one?
All right. Well, no, I'm gonna. Yeah. All right. I'll go with my favorite one. What color is your toothbrush?
White and black.
Basic. You should wear Uggs.
That's an Oral-B. That's a good toothbrush.
It is an Oral-B.
I got the same one. It's got like 4 different settings on it. I love it.
Yeah, that thing's nuts.
If you were going to be somebody famous for the day in their shoes, who would it be? Movie star, actor, athlete?
Who? I think it'd be cool to be like Steve Yzerman. I was a huge hockey fan, and being able to watch him win a bunch of Stanley Cups in Detroit, and then take over as a general manager and run the team, I think would be really cool. He's very well respected around the league and around the city. He does a lot for people around here. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
That had to be the most Michigan answer I've ever heard you say.
I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned hockey, because I was just getting ready to Google him. So
maybe not as famous as you were looking for, but
No, it's perfect. It's all you.
Well, back in the day, I hated your team. We were the San Jose Sharks, and
now we have your coach. And now we're doing way better.
Do you? You have Pete now?
Well, so Todd McCullen was a coach with Babcock. And
back then when there was
So your rivalry, when you hated us when we were beating you all the time, And then we
that
lost.
So
We lost that coach, and then you started beating us all the time. And
yeah,
now
and then we
both
started having a rivalry with Vegas, and then they took
Yep.
Pete to Vegas.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're good for that. Just give
Yeah.
our coaches to the team that we were fighting the most. If you had to sing karaoke right now, what song would you choose?
I like singing Kryptonite from Three Doors Down.
I could see that. I could definitely picture that. We're gonna have to do that at the actually I don't sing karaoke, but I'll make you do it.
Oh, thanks.
It's not a convention.
Better bring a lot of alcohol.
I could do that. No, Brian's reading.
If you could smell, I haven't seen this one before. If you could smell like one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Steak, maybe? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Steak's a good one. Love the smell of a good steak.
Oh yeah. Got to be a ribeye on the grill.
So this one is fitting because you used to work there. If Apple made a car, would it still have windows?
Probably not, and probably be cameras because they have to do things weird and different. It'd be like simulated matrix panels with cameras, so you can look outside and it'd be like real, but like you can't look through it just because they need to make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Why is a pizza in a square box
Because
served
somebody's
as a
stupid.
round and cut into triangles?
To make things overly complicated for no reason.
I was just about to read one of those. Why does the round pizza go in a square box?
Yeah.
I didn't know we had it twice on the list. Basically the same.
Oh, I don't know. I just pulled that
you
out.
just made
So
that up?
yeah.
Look at Brian. Look at that. All right. This is my last one. Brian's got one more. Would you rather fight a ninja or a pirate?
Probably a pirate.
Yeah, I would just same thing. They're probably
I'd
drunk.
say they're, could be drunk. They're probably a little more wobbly. They're gonna usually come at you, where like a ninja could be like up behind you or in the air or whatever. But
If you were walking down a busy sidewalk and tons of people were passing you, what would be the most awkward thing you could say to somebody that you didn't know that you passed by?
I spit on that thing.
Oh!
Wow.
I was not expecting that.
That was a good one.
Oh,
Wow, that was great.
That's the best answer ever. Now, definitely.
That was good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for rapid fire.
And done.
Yeah. Well, that got awkward. No.
Everybody's going back to the original. Never mind.
Brian just squirreled on his own self. We don't even know what Brian's thinking.
Never mind. Moving on. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Kyle, in the spur of the moment.
Thank you for saving the show because we did get an updated text message from Lee. He said he was sorry. He left his phone in his truck when he got to work and totally forgot it was Tuesday. So, and he wants me to call him later. So we'll probably reschedule him. But thank you, Kyle, for saving the day. I appreciate that you were sequencing and could interrupt it for us.
Absolutely. I would like to give a quick shout out for anyone that's in Michigan or local. If you are interested in coming to our mini, we do have a mini coming up in June. So hopefully we can get some people there. You can look at the Michigan Lighting Group for information on it, but it's going to be in June, the Saturday before Father's Day. So I think that's the 14th.
Did you send me an email on that yet?
I sent it to the JR team. I don't know if it went directly to him or
you got to
but
send it to support.
Okay. Are you coming to that? I know you mentioned asking about it and hotels and whatnot.
I'm still looking into it.
Okay.
It's hard that it's Father's Day weekend.
I get it.
I have kids now old enough to try to make plans.
I get it.
I am trying. we'll try that. But also go to Kyle's Mini, and if you're in his area and just starting out, I'm sure he would enjoy some help at the drive-through.
Yeah,
and it will
absolutely.
teach you a lot really quick. So
Yeah, if you're interested in learning how to set up a show or any of that, feel free to reach out to me. If you are in the area and you want to help, or we pay people. You don't have to volunteer and do it for free, but you can definitely learn a lot on how to build a show, at a super large scale. So definitely reach out, and I'll be happy to show you, and I'll appreciate the help.
hey, Brian,
Very awesome. Yes, sir.
3 weeks in a row, I've put the banner up, and I still have not filled out the information inside the banner from the auto one that StreamYard has created for us. It's great.
You're fired.
I know.
Well, I'm just glad you're finally looking straight on to us and not
like this the whole time. Yeah. So we're getting there. We're starting to get a groove back. Kyle, we appreciate it. We'll have to have you on again so
Sure.
you can have sequences and stuff like that closer to the season.
Cool.
Do like a special of all your new stuff, maybe some videos and stuff like that. More planned thing, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are welcome. It's nice chatting with you guys. I hope you and Brian take care, and see everyone soon.
All right. See you.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Brian.
Yeah.
Got one thing to talk about real quick before
we got a Matos minute.
Oh, is that what we're calling these?
Well, I was just pulling that out. So,
but that's a good name. I think we're going to stick to that on something. The cruise, we have a limited amount of rooms that just opened back up on that ship for the Alaska cruise over the 4th of July. Go to mini@sea.org, email us, sign up on the list, and we'll get to you about going on the cruise. It's going to be awesome. It's fun. We're going to Alaska over 4th of July. Definitely do it. Yeah, the cruise. It's going to be great. Join us. We got one more comment. Brian on the clock. Yes, Brian is on the clock. Brian gets paid to hang out with me.
We got prior approval. It's paid by our sponsors. So
yeah,
where's it at? It's up over there.
This. Yes, Brian is getting paid.
Anything else for the Matos Minute?
No, because I didn't bring anything in here to talk about.
Okay.
Come see us. I think the next show we're going to is the Florida Mega Mini. We're going to bring our house that we brought to Expo. So hopefully I'm going to decorate it kind of cool. We're also going to have a tree or two, something we kind of hinted out last episode. Zeus is making his appearance. This is something that we've been working on testing. We've ran it last season. In my house, we ran the King Zeus tree. That's what we're calling it. We were going to call it a Daddy Sasquatch, and Cecilia didn't think that was good. So it's a King Zeus. And then we're going to have the Prince Zeus available and seen. I don't know if Prince Zeus is a good one. That doesn't make sense.
No.
I think it's just Zeus.
Yeah.
King Zeus and the Zeus. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the at the expo. Brian's house. Yeah, Brian's house. I want to know what Brian's growing in the background.
I have parsley. I have basil, 2 different types of basil.
Oh,
dill. Well, I posted on Facebook like a month and a half ago. The wife got me like the most perfect anniversary present, and it was an herb garden that you grow. And everybody thought I was talking about the wacky tobacco. And no, I do a lot of cooking. So I don't know if anybody knows that or not. Maybe that's something you didn't know about me. I love to cook, and I'm always getting all my herbs and stuff from the store. So she got me this. I even bought a second one. I have a second one over there. And now I got rosemary. I got all the herbs you can think of. I got them growing. So
it just kind of looks like you're growing pot in the background.
It does, but I'm not. I don't partake in the Lord's lettuce. I don't, much on occasions, special events.
Anyways, you're not getting paid while you do that. Anyhow, We had another question in the chat before we take off here. The bells on my garage door are from Busqueo. They're the layered Coro bells. I don't know if they actually have them in their store. It's something you'll probably have to email them and they can get for you, but they're from Busqueo.
I thought they were.
Now, I don't know if the layered ones are there. The
Maybe
model
I'm thinking of the holly and bale.
so I don't know if that helps you. So they were not my creation. There was something Busqueo already had. I sent drawings of bells and said, I need 3D bells. And they're like, we have these. So, but yeah. And the Merry Christmas is now available on his website for my garage door. It's a little bit smaller than my version, but it looks cool. He just had it at Trans World and stuff like that. So it's there. It looks awesome. Anything else, Brian?
That's all I got.
Yeah. We will have Lee at some time. I'm going to give him a call, reschedule. Maybe we'll record it previously and then air it as a pre-recorded episode. Maybe that makes things a little bit easier with the situations. So we could edit if necessary.
I guess I got to reach out to our editor and see if he wants to do that again.
Well, I think he said he would.
I think he said he did.
He made our light show Mini at Sea videos.
That's true. He did.
I'm also going to figure out how to play one of those in here. If not, I'll just post it again. Little advertisement. Again, we have some rooms available, so get on that. I think it's going to be awesome. It is a very fun event to be at and meet people. So, yeah, there's a good hour and 20 minutes. And really appreciate Kyle saving the day.
Definitely.
It's great. I let him go. He didn't have to stay to the end because we interrupted him actually doing work.
Go to his sites, check him out.
Yeah,
definitely awesome work. So
thank you for everybody commenting. That was really cool having interactions and stuff. That's been growing every episode, but we got a lot more. I think we covered everything. Oh, Jordan, the pallet rack, that's a really good idea for those candy canes. That works good, especially if you're curving in, because then you put the cross. Yeah, no, I definitely considered that when we did our big ones, was the pallet racking. Very cool. I think everything else in the chat we covered up. Tom,
yeah, I got to remember to log in next time, and so I can post them when they come up. I forgot to log in.
Oh, you're not logged into StreamYard today?
No, I just clicked on your link and forgot to log in afterwards.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So we'll get there. We're learning. It's a process.
Leave comments in there. Let us know what you think, what we should change, if the content we're providing is cool or lame, or if you want us to dump one of our new segments or make it better or add something or something like that. We're open,
Adapt on the fly.
Yeah, we're pretty much just trying. So, all right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Later.